Hey, welcome to Side New with JW. This is Side New number 94, how to identify a problem. So earlier today I talked about, breathing. I talked about, figuring out and seeing that there's a problem, stepping back, taking a breath, realizing that there's an issue and going ahead and doing something about it by just stepping back away from the situation before that situation becomes too much for you to handle where you don't know what to do. And really I want to talk about, how to identify a problem. A lot of things have been going on lately with me and in my profession. There have been a lot of individuals around, a lot of employees that have had, we'll say, specific issues and not realizing how to identify the problem or identifying that there is a problem and then not necessarily knowing what to do about it. And I really want to talk about how to identify the problem. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and I use this from experience because I didn't identify my problem that I had at the time that I had it, and I didn't really realize what it was and the severity of it, and then I really didn't realize how I should have taken care of it in the way that I took care of it. I went in a completely different way. I kind of went, didn't want to realize that this was going on. I was kind of in denial about a lot of different things, and I used that as kind of as an excuse because really I saw that there was something, but I didn't want to realize and I didn't want to say, yes, there is a problem. And with that, there are a lot of different things. Stress is a major contributor to so many different things that, can affect us in so many different ways. We talk about it all the time. Stress is something that can be, just piled on in an instant. And if you don't know how to deal with that, you don't have proper stress management, you don't know how to deal with that, you are going to get swallowed. You are going to get just buried alive underneath the amount of stress that is put on you. Because here's the thing, a lot of different people, a lot of you viewers, you have stress from work. You have stress from your family. You have stress from your kids. You have stress from bills. You have stress with all of these things outside of your control and some within your control, and you don't identify the specific problems and the specific things that are going to contribute to more problems in other areas. Bills, money's always one of those things. Money is money's the devil, and I say that for the simple fact that because people don't know how to deal with it. People don't know how to look at all the different things that are going on, and sometimes they don't know how to manage that money. They don't know how to manage, their spending. They don't know how to manage different things, and then they don't identify that as a problem, and they live outside of their means, and then all of a sudden that turns into this and that and this and that. And I'm not perfect, by all means. I am not perfect. I have so many different, financial items that I have to make sure that I cross every T and dot every I on to ensure that I live within my means, to ensure that all my bills are paid, to ensure that I'm trying to save something, ensuring that I'm trying to set something aside for the future, all those different things. But I've identified a deficiency that I used to have with how I dealt with that. And because of that, I've been able to go ahead and realize that there was a problem and then, figure out a solution to it, going and seeing a financial counselor, going and talking to other individuals on how they do, looking at things, talking to my bank, all kinds of different stuff. But that's really not the part I want to talk about. I want to talk about identifying a problem within yourself. Identifying a problem stresses that that just stresses you out. And then you go from being, okay, you're able to accomplish these different things, and then all of a sudden something triggers a issue, and instead of you realizing that was a trigger, you all of a sudden are overwhelmed and you don't know what to do about it. And although there are, just so many different resources out there in the world, I always say it's 2017, you can Google how to on anything, even how to identify a problem, but you should be able to identify that first, realize that, and then go to the proper resource without, kind of just seeing overall, well, how do I deal with this? Stress is one of them, family issues. There are so many different things, that you are not able to control. My mother is one of them. I'm not able to control that situation at all. I deal with it in a completely different way than I would normally. But then you have all the other issues that you have right now. Your work issues, the stuff that goes on at work. Sometimes your boss is stressing you. Sometimes your coworkers are stressing you. Sometimes your employees are the ones that are stressing you out. Whatever it is, realizing that there is a problem, because sometimes these problems although they start off small, can snowball very, very quickly and then bury you. And I'm not joking when I talk about burying you alive. They are the reason that sometimes some individuals turn to a item that shouldn't be in 2017. And I say that for the simple fact that I think that by now we've hit a time in our lives and a time in society where it's an issue that's talked about so much that there are resources to deal with it, and there's resources to deal with it properly. And I can say that from experience. The resources that were there 10 years ago compared to the resources that are there today for everyone in society are just absolutely crazy. There's so many different things out there. But if you're going through a struggle, you're going through something and you don't know how to deal with it, and if you don't properly identify it, that is one of the things that, you should never get to. You should never get to, I have to go ahead and take my own life or think that way or even have those thoughts because of stresses, because you didn't identify the problem overall. You didn't see what the problem is. And because of that, now we're at this point. We're at this point of now we're dealing with something that is, so much more than just a basic stress that you could have talked to your coworker about, or talked to your employer about, or talked to your employees about. Hey, you know what? This is just getting to me, and I don't know what to do about it, and I need to go ahead and step back from the situation. Maybe we can put someone else in on this project. Maybe we can go ahead and I can team up with somebody. Or hey, there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's going to be things that sometimes you have to get through, sometimes you have to deal with, but there's always help there to do it. Don't ever think that you are there alone overall. There's going to be certain things that you have to go ahead and accomplish no matter what, but it doesn't mean that you have to accomplish those things by yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to accomplish the task or the goal or whatever it is by yourself. And if you're getting so stressed out because you think that is the reason, you are not identifying the issue and you are not talking to the proper individuals about it. You're not talking to those resources about it. You're not opening your mouth and talking about it and realizing, hey, you know what? At this present time, I cannot deal with whatever this issue is. Because if you don't do that, then we get to the other problem. Now, with it, this isn't for every single thing. You know what I mean? Like, if tying your shoes is the problem and you don't know how to deal with it, like, we shouldn't jump to the next factor. But those things are what I think are minimal or minute compared to some of the bigger issues and some of the bigger problems that you might face in your life overall. And if you're not looking at those and you're not identifying those problems, you have to, because until you can realize or until you can figure out how to get through these stresses, whether it's by yourself or through outside help, you're not going to be able to accomplish the things that you really want to accomplish in life. You're not going to be able to accomplish the tasks that are set out. You're not going to be able to get those goals or get to those goals that you want, because you're getting stressed by these things and you don't know how to deal with it. I've been stressed by a lot of different things: coworkers, employees, employers, peers, all kinds of different stuff. And my mindset now in 2017 is phenomenal. I would have crumbled in 2007 with some of the same issues that I deal with now today that I dealt with 10 years ago. But it's because I figured out that, and I had to go and I had to talk to somebody and I had to see how to get through these problems and how to identify the problem, figure out a solution for it, implement that solution before that problem got out of control. And I'm now able to, take care of a lot of the issues. 99% of the issues that come up, I am able to take care of them now because I'm able to identify the problem before it gets to something worse. So you have to look at that. You have to realize that, and you have to understand that there's always a way to do that. There's always a way to get help. There's always a way to talk out the problem. There's always a way to figure out what's going on and then take care of it. Because at the end of the day, you will eventually be able to take care of yourself, where you don't need to worry about all these other things. And what you might think stresses are now, those are it's a joke compared to what it used to be. So if you're going through some type of problem right now, I say this to everyone, just reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, because at the end of the day, no individual in the world should ever get overwhelmed by the stresses that they have in life, the problems that they have in life, and then think the only way that they can take care of those problems and those issues is by taking themselves out of the equation. That is never the answer. Never. Absolutely never the answer. So please share, and don't share it because you like the video. Share it with somebody that you think might have a problem. Like it because at the end of the day, you relate to it, and you also know that you've went through issues and you've identified those problems, and you've also been able to figure out those solutions to take care of them. And share it. Share it, like I said, because this message needs to get out there, not because it's mine, but because it's a message that is important. No one ever should get to the point where they think that they have to take themselves out of the equation to get rid of the problem. So until my next video, appreciate you watching. Decide New number 94, how to identify a problem.